In today's YouTube video, we're going over the top 5 meta assault rifle loadouts you guys need to be using. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like for the algorithm, subscribe, those notifications turned on. Shout out to Nadia gang on screen, and let's hop into this. Our first assault rifle we're going to be taking a look here today is going to be the M4. This is a top tier assault rifle, and our first attachment is going to be that Komodo Heavy to help us out that horizontal recoil control. This thing definitely likes to bounce around, so we're gonna have to kind of stabilize it out like that. So that's why I have the Komodo Heavy on there. The tuner on that is gonna be plus 0.75, aka maxed out for recoil stabilization, and a plus 0.29 there on the bottom. Now we're gonna go up in here. We're gonna run the high tower 20 barrel. For that increase in recoil control, damage range, bullet velocity, and hipfire accuracy. We don't really care as much about the hipfire accuracy, but what we do care about is the other 3 pros right there, and this is gonna be the cons you have to deal with because this is by far the most effective barrel you guys can run on this gun. The tuner on that is going to be a plus 0.19 and a plus 0.22. Now we're gonna go down here and run the Tctekk Gripper 56. This is an underbarrel that we've ran on so many different guns. The Tctekk Gripper is just one of those underbarrels. It's kind of like the Commando 4 grip from Warzone 1, where it's just so incredibly good that you run it on a variety of different weapons. The tuner on that is gonna be a plus 0.28 and a minus 0.28. Now we're gonna go down here and run the 60 round mag. I am a 60 round mag kind of guy, you know what I'm saying? So I do enjoy running that 60, but regardless of me being, 60 round mag kind of guy, you should just run it anyways because you're going to be dispensing a lot of rounds, and it is your assault rifle, so your long range capability gun, and you're going to be dispensing a lot of rounds down range. So having the extra 15 as opposed to the 45 is going to be very much so beneficial. Lastly, this is going to be your personal preference thing that you guys could switch around if you really want to, but we are running the AMOT V4 for our optics. So if you really want to, what I've done here recently is I've actually switched, maybe the AMOT out for like a Corona Mini Pro, because on Vondel, it just actually works out really nicely. Having a red dot sight on some guns, it kind of feels like it makes it more effective, but I have the AMOT, or you guys could go for something like the SE Recharge, which is another great sight. I've ran that, commonly on my Cronin Squall or even on my Kxpture 762. So I've just kind of switched around on like what I run on what gun. And to be honest, your optic is something you can switch around and be pretty much good no matter what. The tuner of that is going to be minus 1.65. Then you max out in the bottom for that far distance. Keep in mind that bottom close or far is the other personal preference thing as well. But no matter what optic you choose, you should be tuning it for more of that aim down sight speed instead of flinch resistance. We want a little bit of speed out of our guns, but that's the only aim down sight speed thing you'll ever tune for on an assault rifle is pretty much your optic. So that's my full build there for the M4. Next up, we're taking a look here at the Tempest Razorback. This is like a 0 recoil assault rifle. They just recently added this into a Dark Matter bundle, which I used recently on the channel. So if you haven't seen that video, you can go check it out. But this thing is incredible here no matter pretty much how you build it, but we have the top build for it. So the Harbinger D20 is our first attachment here, a great suppressor overall. The tuner on that is going to be a plus 1.08 and a minus 0.35 there. Now we're going to go up in here and run the 16 Tanker V barrel. So the Tanker barrel is going to help with that recoil control and bullet velocity, and we don't really care about running these other ones. This has the built-in 4x magnification, so maybe if it didn't have that, it'd be a little bit better to run, but we don't really want to deal with that. And the 16 Tanker is just perfect for recoil control and bullet velocity. Like, you're a certified laser beam when you run this barrel. It's kind of insane, actually. The tuner on that is going to be a plus 0.13 and a plus 0.12. Now we're gonna go run here the DM Proto Grip. So this is the very last one here on the bottom. Like, it's literally the very last grip you guys possibly can unlock here. You're not going to use this really on anything else. This is like a one-off specifically for the Tempest Razorback. So aiming idle stability, horizontal recoil control, and recoil stabilization. I mean, listen, when you combine the barrel with this underbarrel and the suppressor, I mean, you're going to be good to go here, and you're not going to be missing them shots unless your aim just kind of sucks. The tuner on that is going to be a plus 0.31 and a plus 0.25. Now we're going to go down here, run the 60 round mag, like the same case for the M4, even though it has the option for the 45. You should always go for the 60. Don't ever go for that 45. For our last attachment, we have the SE Recharge. Like I said, also for the M4, it is a personal preference thing. I've ran this on this gun, and I feel like it just works out really nicely. So that's what I have. But you can always run the AMOT V4 or run a red dot like I did in my Dark Matter video, just because that's what it came with. And I was like, that's perfectly fine because I like running red dots on my assault rifles anyway. So up to you guys, but the tune on that is going to be minus 2.03, and then I actually have a close distance here just because that's what I wanted to be able to run. And like I said previously as well, that is a personal preference thing as well. In the bottom, close or far distance, it is up to you entirely. It's not going to make a difference on your build, and it's going to perform. It's not going to, like, it's going to change the performance of the gun. But that is my full build there for the Tempest Razorback. Next up, we're taking a look here at the M13B, not the M13C, but the M13B. I think everyone's kind of even forgot that's a gun that's added into the game. No one even uses the M13C, but this gun right here, the M13B, is probably the #1 gun to use as an AR in Resurgence or even on Al-Mazrah for regular BR. This is like almost like the #1 assault rifle right now. It's actually insanely good. But the Harbinger D20 is our first attachment on this thing. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.86 and a plus 0.55. Now we're going to go up in here and run the 14 Bruin Echelon barrel for increasing damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control, and of course, hipfire accuracy. I mean, this is just the most effective barrel we can run to make this gun really, really good. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.40 and a plus 0.34. Now to go down here and run the Tctekk Ripper 56, aiming out of stability, hipfire accuracy, and recoil stabilization. Ran this on the other two guns, or actually the other gun minus the Tempest Razorback, because that's got that specific one for it. But this is a pretty common attachment we run on our assault rifles. The tune of that is going to be plus 0.67 and a minus 0.22. This is one of those guns where you really don't get anything from trying to go for aiming out of stability. Like the graph just doesn't move in a way that's actually even beneficial. So we actually tune it for aim locking speed just so we can get some benefit out of it. And that's the reason why we're doing that. And now we're going to go down here and run the 60-round mag here once again. Like I said previously a few times, 60-round mag, just go for it. And lastly, we have the SC Recharge, and this is definitely my preference of sights run on this gun. I much prefer to run the SC Recharge over the aim op or a red dot on this thing. I don't know what it is, it just feels better. You know, like some guns just kind of feel better, you know, in your hands when you have a specific sight or attachment on it. So that's just one of those things where it's like, this feels better to me personally running this specific optic. So you guys can switch between the three, you know, like a Chronometer Pro, aim op, whatever you want. The tune on that is going to be minus 2.33 or 2.23, my bad, and then all the way for that close distance there. So that is my full build there for the M13B, probably the #1 gun in the entire game. In our #4 slot, and keep in mind this is not in any particular order, but pretty much like almost the #1, #2 gun here, up there with the M13B is the Kxpture 762. This is a super hard-hitting assault rifle. It's got a lot more recoil to be able to control than the M13, but I mean, it still hits incredibly hard. So a little bit more skill required to use this thing, but it's very beneficial when you can actually, you know, use it. The TY-LR8 is our first attachment for that horizontal recoil control. This is kind of like the Komodo Heavy here. It's going to do almost the same thing. It's going to kind of keep it from bouncing around side to side here. And it also does help a little bit with that vertical, but not too much. The tune is going to be a plus 0.70 and a plus 0.14. Now we're going to go up in here and run the CAS-10 584mm barrel. That's a long barrel name for no reason, but increase in damage range, bullet velocity, hipfire accuracy, and recoil control. I mean, seriously, you can't go wrong with that. That's just going to really extend out this gun as much as possible. We actually have ran the IG-K30 plenty before. We actually run this, I believe, on the Kxpture 545, but not necessarily on the 762. So we run this on the 762 to make it a little bit harder hitting. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.37 and a minus 0.23. I'm gonna go down here, run the Tctekk Ripper 56 here once again. Like I said, it's just the go-to on everything. It's not, you know, it's the Commando foregrip of this game without it actually being named the Commando foregrip, because no one actually uses the Commando foregrip. It's that attachment literally never gets used in this game. It's it's kind of funny. The tune on that is going to be a plus 0.65 and a minus 0.35. Then we're going to go down here, run the 40-round mag. So this is one of the only downsides to this gun here, minus like a little bit of that recoil, minus a little bit of that bounce, is the magazine size. That's probably why the M13 is kind of going to be a nice front runner, is because it's got a 60-round mag. An extra 20 rounds of magazine can make a very, very big difference in the amount of people you're able to take out. So, you know, just keep that in mind. It's going to have a 40-round mag as its max. And lastly, we have the AMOT V4. This is one of those guns where I prefer to do that, and I actually have a variance from one of the blueprints I bought on here, so that's why we have the purple dot right there. It's just one of the skins I swapped onto it, just because there's a few different ones. There's like a green, a purple, a blue, I believe I have, so I just kind of like prefer using the purple. And the tune on that is being minus 2.13, and all I maxed out there on the bottom for that far distance. Like I said, personal preference there on that and on the optic in general, but just tune it for aim down sight speed. So that's my full build there for the Kxpture 762. And for our last gun here today, we're going to be taking a look at the FR Advancer. Not a gun I ever thought I'd be putting in the top 5 here when I came into the game. I was like, this gun is pretty balls. Like, it's, you know, it's really not that good. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was only good for close range, like running it like an FFAR from back in Warzone 1, where no one used it as a true AR. It was just close range. This gun's actually really good at long range now, ever since a couple buffs and everything. So the first attachment, though, that X10 ported to help with vertical recoil control, this gun has got a very massive problem with the vertical recoil, so you definitely have to bring that down. It's insane, you know, how much vertical, you know, it's got. The tune on that is be a plus 0.54 and a plus 0.19. Now we're gonna go and run the 435mm FR435 barrel. They doubled up on the 435, don't really get it, but this is the barrel we're running. For a while there, I was kind of confused why we were running the 435 instead of the 600, but the 600 is not necessarily as good. This one actually does provide you with that recoil control. You lose a tad of the damage range, but you're not going to notice that at all. You're actually going to be hitting more shots as a result of using this, as opposed to the 600. So definitely say this is a much better option for making this gun effective at long range, because you're not going to be hitting nearly as many with the 600. The tune on that is going to be a +0.24 and a +0.14. Attack number 56 here once again. Not gonna explain that one. The tune on that is gonna be a +0.80 and a -0.18. Now we're gonna go down here, run the 60 round mag. I mean, listen, 60 round mag is just, you need that. Like, this is, if you are ever thinking about taking the 60 round mag off of a gun, any one of these guns, the M13 is one of the last ones you should do, and this is probably the other last one you should ever consider doing it for, just because the fire rate is so high. It's like, this is a fast firing gun. So definitely got to keep that on there. And lastly, the aim out before, this is what I have that on there. And then here's gonna be the tune for, and -1.26 and maxed out for that far distance. So that's my full build there. That's my top 5. Y'all enjoyed? Give it a like, subscribe, and of course check out this other video on screen. I'd really appreciate that. And I'll see you guys all next time.